I know I'm standing between you and the after party, so I saw part of it. It looks really good. To Tom Perez, to all of the elected officials here, to those who are elected, who will be elected, and who help get folks elected, thank you. A personal welcome to my friend, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, and to two of my heroes who are sitting right beside each other, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, and the woman who helped give my sister a much better job than the one she had, Sally Yates. And her husband, who once hired me, so thank you too. My name is Stacey Abrams, and I'm here to announce that we are going to win in 2020. And I'll tell you how I know. Because we won in 2018. Now, I'm fairly certain that Breitbart and Daily Caller are now spinning up the memes that will tell everyone that I'm delusional and a liar, but let me tell you my point. When we think that elections are about politicians, we are confused. When we believe that elections end with the counting of votes, we are wrong. Elections are about people. They're about ideas. They're about values. And they're about the progress we can make as a people. And in 2018, we made progress in the state of Georgia. Because you see, for years, we were told that Georgia was a lost cause, that we were on the cusp forever. Because the reality was the only way to move Georgia forward, to put us in the game, was to call some folks off the bench that we didn't even think belonged on the team. You see, I went to Sandersville, Georgia in my campaign, and I met this young boy who grabbed my hand when I got off the bus, and he told me he'd seen me on television, and he told his grandmother he didn't think I was real. And she said, well, yeah, she's real. She's coming here. And he said he didn't believe it. He needed to see me. And so she brought him to our event. And the thing was, other than meeting his state legislator, he'd never seen a politician, certainly someone statewide. Folks didn't come to his part of town. He took my hand and he held it. In fact, he almost gave my speech for me. But what he wanted me to understand at that young age was that he wanted to be seen. He wanted us to know he existed. And what Georgia has been fighting for the last 20 years is to remind America we exist. But more importantly, that our 16 electoral votes are ready for the taking. But they can only be had when we are willing to invest in every single Georgian, when we are willing to go into communities that we drive past or ignore, when we're willing to stop at that light and not try to rush through in case we get caught there. And in the state of Georgia in 2018, up and down the ballot across the state, we transformed the electorate of Georgia. We invested in places and in people in ways they had not seen. In 2018, we tripled the Latino voting population in the state of Georgia. In 2018, we tripled the Asian Pacific Islander population that voted in the state of Georgia. In 2018, in a year where young people were told they weren't going to vote and that millennials were too lazy, we increased youth participation rates by 139%. And the perennial question was, how many more African Americans could we turn out in Georgia? Because you see, in 2014, 1.1 million Democrats voted in Georgia. Well, I'm here to tell you, in 2018, 1.2 million black people voted for me. In this campaign, in our campaign from top to bottom, in our campaign from governor to state legislator, in our campaign across the state, we centered communities of color. We talked to the marginalized and the disadvantaged. We invested in our values, and we were told that if we did this, if we identified the challenges, if we connected our politics to our people, we would lose white voters. If you didn't run to the middle, not in your campaigns, but if you didn't obfuscate what you believed, if you didn't speak in parcel tongue if she reads Harry Potter. Because we can have a range of values. We can respond to our communities as we need to, but we've got to be honest about what we believe. That's not running to the middle, that's running to the truth. And we were told that if we talked about the fact that you can believe in the Second Amendment and hold true to gun safety in America, that you couldn't win. But ask Lucy McBath if that can be done. We were told that you can't talk about a woman's right to control her body and talk about abortion in the state of Georgia, but look at what we were able to do. We were told that you can't have a conversation about the LGBTQ community and the straight woman can't be one of the grand marshals in the gay pride parade and still run for governor in the state of Georgia. That if we did those things, if we did the things that unified us as a diverse state, that if we took those steps, we were going to lose the white vote in Georgia. Let me tell you a secret. In 2008, Barack Obama got 23% of the white vote. Before him, in 2004, John Kerry got 23% of the white vote. In 2014, Michelle Nunn got 23% of the white vote. 2016, Hillary Clinton got 21% because a few people got confused and voted third party. But in the state of Georgia in 2018, I got 25% of the white vote. Because you see, when you tell the truth, when you treat people as valuable, when you reflect their values and talk to them like they have some sense, folks will show up and show out, and we will win. Now, the reality is we transform the electorate, but I am aware that I am not the governor of Georgia. I am not. I'm not exactly certain who is, but I am not. Because there are jobs to be done, and I think they're going unfilled right now, but that's a conversation for another time. But what I want you to understand is that we will never know what could have been. Because when people aren't given the right to stay on the rolls, when folks have their ballots diverted and not delivered, when polling places are closed, an exact match snatches your voter registration for you, when purges happen, not because we are afraid that our rolls aren't well maintained, but because we are afraid of who's going to cast a ballot. When 1.4 million Georgians get purged in one person's administration, including 800,000 because they didn't use a voluntary right, when one county can forget to send out 4,700 absentee ballots, when another county can have a rate of rejection that exceeds almost 10%, you don't have the right to vote in the state of Georgia. We have the opportunity to possibly think about maybe being able to participate in the right to vote in the state of Georgia. And what we found on that day in that election is that we don't know the truth because there wasn't a fair fight. And I am proud of the folks who are running for president who are talking about voter suppression. I've been talking about it every day since November 6th. I am proud of the plans that are being unveiled and the conversations being had on the trail. It's working. And we know it's working because the Wall Street Journal wrote one of the weakest op-eds I've ever seen, where they argued that because black and brown people showed up, there couldn't have been suppression. Like more people don't go in the ocean even though there are sharks. But we know that voter suppression does not negate increased voter turnout. It's not a proof point that voter suppression isn't real. It's an antidote to voter suppression. We show up when they try to tell us we can't. And when we show up, when we show out, we will show America who we can be. And in the state of Georgia and around the country, voter suppression is real. And while I am proud of the plans for tomorrow, we've got a battle right now. We've got a battle to make certain people can stay on the rolls in Wisconsin, and stay on the rolls in Ohio, and stay on the rolls in Michigan and in North Carolina, because even though we've got some good governors in those places, they still got bad laws on the books. And so for every name that comes off the rolls, we've got to be ready to put them right back on. We've got to be ready to make certain that purges are temporary, but that our presence is permanent. We have to be ready to understand that in states like Arizona, too many people voted for Kirsten Sinema, so they're trying to negate who can turn in absentee ballots. They're making it a crime to use an emergency center if they don't think your emergency is real. That means we've got to make sure we show up and get folks to the polls, that we recognize that Arizona is a linchpin to our future, and we've got to work now to make certain that tomorrow is ours. We know that in the state of Florida and the state of Texas, that in Tennessee, there have been laws passed to restrict access even this year. And what is the common denominator? We keep winning. We keep showing up and showing out, and they are showing fear, and we've got to use fear to motivate us. But we've got to do it today. I am so afraid that we are planning for 2021 that we haven't remembered we got to get through 2020 first. The general election has already started. And no matter who your candidate is, we have a responsibility to make certain no matter who the victor is, the victory is ours. That's our call to action. That's our responsibility. But if we get too caught up in whether someone is on the dark violet part or the lighter cerulean part of the blue spectrum, and we forget that we are all in the right part of the color chart, then we run the very real risk, again, of we didn't lose, I'm sorry, the occupant didn't win an election. We lost an election. We lost because of perfidy. We lost because of Russian bots. We lost because of bad letters. But we also lost because we lost sight of our responsibilities to get every voter every time in every election. We can't stop disinformation. And we can't fix hacking, apparently, but I'm sure that Barbara and Maxine are on that one. But what we can control is our response to their attempt to undermine us. We can get ready every single day. We can fight every single day because the election is on. And if we keep forgetting because we're focusing on a primary, we can support those we care about, but we've got to help everyone. Because on the day after our convention, when the fight is really joined, we can't just be gathering our arms. We can't just be beginning to figure out whose side we're on. We're on our side. We're on the people's side. We are going to elect, through our primary process, we're going to elect a representative to speak for us. But our voices have to be joined already. Because if we are so divided by our primary that we can't beat our adversary, then we are lost for a generation. This is a day we are commemorating an American story of valor, but also an American story of understanding that what may separate us is not as strong as what unites us. On this day, 75 years ago, nationalities and faiths and oceans were put aside for a common purpose of liberation. And in America, we are fighting for the freedom of our people. Freedom to love who you love and to be able to live as who you are. Freedom to be alive because you have health care. A freedom to an education that you can afford to have and afford to keep. The reality that when you serve your time, that you should be able to live your life. The reality that in this nation, wages should lead to wealth. And you can decide your scale, but the opportunity should be yours. But those are things that are not available to all of us until we have a nation that is available to all of us. And that will not happen under those who cannot see us, do not believe in us, and disparage our very existence. Because that's what voter suppression is. It is the silencing of the people. I believe in identity politics. I've said it before because I know what that means. The dog whistle is used to signal that we are picking people based on what they look like. No, we're saying anybody can run no matter what they look like, and we can vote for who we want no matter what we look like. It's our choice, not yours. But what identity politics really means is I see you. I see you and I hear you and I understand the barriers to your success. And I'm standing for this office because I have a plan to help you and a program to serve you, but I have a policy that says that you are real and right and righteous, and my job is to make you so. That is what identity politics is, and that is who we are. Now, we can say it in different ways, and we can get a little uncomfortable because it sounds like what Republicans don't like. But we've got to remember it's always been who we are. We've always been the party that not only has a big tent, but we open the flaps wide. And we say, come in and bring who you are. That a woman raised in the Christian faith can be the loudest proponent for Muslim security in the United States of America. That I can defend my Jewish brother and my Jewish sister against anti-Semitism that is making a return. And that those who have no faith other than a faith in their humanity deserve to have a stage. We can be who we are because we believe in who we are. But it is our responsibility to make certain this country creates space for all who are. That is our job and that is our mission. And so I call on you to remember why we're doing this. We say, I will vote because we know that voting is the most sacred responsibility we can hold, that if John Lewis were here, he would tell you. Blood has been shed, tears have been shed, lives have been lost, but not simply for the symbol of a vote, but for what the rights that undergird that vote mean. That we cannot have our liberty, we cannot enjoy our freedom, we cannot protect our civil rights if we do not control the levers of power that make it real. And so we're going to have folks who run for the Senate in the state of Georgia and win. We're going to have folks who take the 7th district and hold the 6th district and make some other folks really uncomfortable. We're going to be prepared to make certain that whoever wants to go to the White House has to come through Georgia first. And we are going to win in 2020, and we're going to count our folks, and we're going to change our lines, and we're going to change our lives, and Georgia's going to be at the cusp of tomorrow, but we're starting it today, so I will vote because we will vote, and we will win. Thank you so much.